Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Noah Miller. I'm going to be today talking about the test of time. This test is really going to be focusing on the patience and the love and the faith that we have in God, in the decisions that He makes, and the path that we have, that He has set forth with us as we go through this life in many ways, whether it be in our jobs or any situation. Really, are we giving all of our faith to God, or are we saying it's us, all about us, and we'll do it our way, and that God doesn't have that right path? But in the end, it's really God's path is the perfect path, and it is the right path, because He knows our destination, He knows our future, and that He will get us there. It may take some time, but He will get us there. This test is going to be testing not only your patience, but your patience with God and how much faith you have in Him. Through your seasons of life as well, it's God testing you on how genuine you really are, and if you truly seek Him in everything that you do, no matter the test at hand. Quick thing is just saying that through all the tests and everything that we get through, all the obstacles we have to go through, are we just still trusting in God and knowing that His plan is perfect for us? It says here in Deuteronomy 13:3, "You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or the dreamer or dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord or God with all your mind and heart and you with your entire being." This test was about God telling us, if you listen to a prophet and he tells you all these great things and wonders, but in order to see them fulfilled, you must serve other gods. Are you going to? This is really a test of your heart and your faith to God. Back then they had the prophets, they had many gods to pray for, and I'm sure there was other things such as stature like us. But of course today, with our lives and the way we live today, it's all about our stature or money or relationships or people. And where do we put them in our list of of things? That do we put all of our faith in them and that they know what's best for us, and they're good, or do we put all our faith in God and know that God's plan is the perfect plan? Do we take out all of us and put more of Him in us, as it always says? Just to start off, when it comes to this time, us as people, we think that if it doesn't get done today, it won't get done. Or when it comes to a job, we complain, are we not being promoted or passed up? And then we think we're going to be stuck in this for a while. How many people have felt that way? I'm the first to admit it, that I've had several situations in my life when, why did it have to be that way? Or why did this relationship didn't work out with this person? Or why didn't I get promoted when I felt I was more deserving from that? But what we need to do is look at it. God saw a perfect plan for us. God knew these things were going to happen already in our life. He knows everything. He already knows our end. But God put these things in our way to see, are we going to believe in Him and trust in Him in what He's doing for us? Or are we going to turn our back from Him and say, well, God, I want this to work, so I'm going to be with this person, or boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm going to be in this marriage, even though I know, or no matter what it would be, or God, I want this promotion, but it may take you from something different. So we got to remember that God doesn't want us with that person because He has somebody better for us, or we're not ready to be with that person. God has a better job for us because He knows we're not ready for that job yet, or that job may take us or distract us from doing something else that He has set in for us. So we always got to remember there is a reason for everything, and it's always because God's reasons are perfect. Let's go ahead and start off with the first test, is what I call God's first test to us, which was Adam and Eve. Where we all know the story with Adam and Eve, where put them on the Garden of Eden and said, you can have anything you want, no matter what it is, no matter what it would be, that you can have it, but you just cannot eat from the tree, of course, the forbidden fruit from that tree that God told us. But as we know, what happened? The devil slithers up and says, there's a reason why God's just keeping things from you, or He doesn't want you to be this good, or He doesn't want you to be as close to God as you can be. But they were already so perfect because they were made in God's image. But with us, when our humanness, I would like to call our human flesh, comes into play, we take God out of it now. And so they took the bite, and of course sin came on earth. And that's really when, who knows, but I think, that's when God just really, He will start testing us, and He's going to start testing our faith, and He's going to start testing truly what's in our hearts, because God knows what's truly in our hearts. He always wants the best for everybody in the world. He does not want us to fail in these tests, but in the end, we need these tests to become closer to God, to become more like with God and walk with God. So we need these tests sometimes. So we need to thank Him for these tests that He does. And so, as we know, the test goes on from that. A next great test, I think, to me was the story in Joseph. And this was the test that was another test that he had to go through. Of course, we all know how many tests he went throughout his life. This was another test that he had with Potiphar, and of course with his wife, once he was released again from prison, and he became second in charge of basically everything. Second most powerful man, we would just say, in the world. So it starts off right here in Genesis 39. So Joseph pleased Potiphar and found favor in his sight. He served him and made him supervisor over his house, and he put all that he had in his charge. Then after a time his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said, "His master's wife, see her with me in the house. My master has concern about nothing. He has put all that he has had in my care." So right there was the test of flesh. Joseph, good looking guy, sure, Potiphar's wife was beautiful, and he tempted her with flesh. He said, sleep with me, I want you. And it just kept going and going. As it continues on, he said, "He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept anything from me except you." Basically saying that Potiphar has given me everything, in that I can have anything I want, kind of like in the Garden of Eden, where they had anything they wanted except for one thing. So, for you are his wife. How then can I do this great evil and sin against God? She spoke to Joseph day after day, but he did not listen to her, to lie with her, or to be with her. So it wasn't even, and it was probably also as well as being respectful for Potiphar, but in the end it was about God. It was about God said, no, this isn't right. Lusting after a woman, somebody else's woman, even at that fact, is wrong. As we all know, in God's eyes, lusting after women is a sin, whether you do anything about it or not. Are we guilty of it? Are we guilty of being that of people? Of course we are human. God knows that. But it's that test that God puts us in. When he puts us in those circumstances, or puts us in that situation, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to walk away from it? And as Joseph did, he did walk away. As we know in the story as well, that in the end, of course, she tried after him again. She ripped his cloak when when he left. She kept it. She said he did this. He slept with her, and of course he was found guilty again, and of course sent down again into prison again after all that. But in the end, guess what? But in the end, no matter what happened, his faith remained with God. He still stayed true, faithful to God. He never forsake God. He never asked why this happened. He thanked God, loved God, and that's what God always wanted. A man after, just like what he says with David, a man after his own heart. Just we go after him, and no matter the test that we are put through, God knows that if we go to him, he will get us through anything, no matter what. He just wants to know that we have a full heart and faith in him as well. Next that we have is the Abraham test. Now this test with Abraham was, of course, the sacrifice of his son. So he was supposed to take his son, that, of course, as we know, he's been waiting for such a long time. Basically, he's been waiting for his son for hundreds of years. And he was told by God to take him up as a burnt sacrifice. So he got up with no hesitation, took him to the mountaintop, as well as they were, getting the sacrifice ready. His son was asking, where's the goat? And he was just telling his son, God will provide the goat for us to sacrifice. As he was about to lay his son down, as it reads in Genesis 22:10-12, and Abraham stretched forth his hand and took hold of the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Here I am. And he said, Don't lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him. For now that you fear and revere God, since you have not held back from me or begrudged giving me your son, your only son. So really God said that even with your son, your only son that I finally gave you, you still showed no hesitation. You still knew faith in me. In the story as it continued, God gave Abraham the goat to sacrifice, tied up against a tree. And of course, after that, that's why we call him, Father Abraham, because he, through all the tests he went through all that, he knew what God had for him in store. He knew that, God, if you have to make me kill my son, that's okay, because I know you're going to give me many more sons. You're going to give me sons till the end of time. And he was that first. He was truly showing that faith that he had in God. and God granted him everything that he could ever desire in his heart for that. And it's just amazing, and it just brings me just so much hope and passion and just love that we have a God like this that is saying, you know what, I understand life is hard. I understand you're going to go through troubles and everything that you're going to do. It's going to be rough. But guess what? I have the perfect plan for you. Just keep your faith in me. And it's just amazing. And the greatest thing about it is this. Watch. God, get this. Get what we have here. Is what I like to call the open book test. Think of God. You know, God is our Father, of course, right? And as a parent, you know, they always, you know, they love us. They will only want the best for us. And that's exactly the same thing with this. But at the same time, God could be a teacher. And we know how teachers are. I don't think teachers want our students to fail. Of course, you know, in school we all thought, oh, you know, I guess we can all probably admit that, oh, my teacher doesn't like me. He just wants me to fail. He doesn't want to see me do good. But no, that's not it. I think every teacher wants us to pass. Guess what, though? Guess what they want us to do, though? They want us to learn. They want us to open up the books. And guess what? God does too. This is what I call the open book test. God gave us the perfect way to pass the test that he has for us in life, and how to get through all the trials and tribulations, and how to get through all the pains and sorrows and the grievances that we have. Guess where it's at? Guess where? In the Bible. It's in the Bible. This is our open book test. This has all the answers for us in our life. And as I go on, it says, see, God knew where we were going to fail, but like a great teacher, he is, and a loving, but like a great teacher, he is a loving father as well. He left us the answers to them. So through our lives and through our obstacles, God showed us how to be faithful. And that's why he gives us those stories like Abraham and Joseph and said, look, these are the tests I gave them, and this is how they passed. You are just like them. They're no better than you. They're not on an upper echelon. Now, were they great men of God? Yes, but we have great men of God today as well, and we can be those great men of God. We can be those lessons. We can be those obstacles as well. God put those in the Bible to give us examples. It's all the answers. First answer, boom, got it. Second answer, got it. God gave us the answers to pass these tests. Now, the one thing he also did give us, though, is choices. These are what I like to call our true or false questions, or multiple choice. You can either have A or you can have B. There's not a middle. There's not as, oh, I want both, or I want my cake and eat it too, as we all, you know, like to say. There's either God's way or this way. No other way. There is no other way. And that's why he gave us another gift. It's called the gift of choice. We can choose to follow his path, or we can go on and do it our way and go through whatever we think we can and say, oh, I got this, I can get through this. But let's be honest, we can't do it without him. And this is kind of what I explained in these choices, is how do we spend our time, talent, and money, and who do we spend our time with? This was not only a great gift God gave us, but like all great things come great responsibility, and God knew this as well. So God knew when he gave us the gift of choice, he knew that has great responsibility, because our choices sometimes set a destiny for other people in our life. So if we choose to serve God and live a godly life, then our wife will, then our kids will, their kids will, and generations, and now we have a full generation of just serving, loving, godly people. Or do we choose to say, I want to do it this way, I'm going to do it my way, so then this is the only way to get life. So guess what? Now our wife is influenced by it, or our families are influenced by it, now our kids, now everybody, now we set another course to go this way. So again, choices are so key. But the good thing about is that just because we made that choice, guess what? God gives us another test. He says, even though you chose B for this relationship, when it fails, because I know it will, and let's be honest, when we put things in our mind and we want to do it our way, it's gonna fail. It's not gonna succeed. Maybe we think it does for so long, but in the end, if it's not God's way, there's no other way. So we're gonna go ahead, and then guess what he does? He gives us the test again and says, here, one more time. And guess what? If we fail that time, he gives us another test. He keeps giving us tests over and over again until we pass it. And that's why it's so great. And if you want to write these down, please do. These are just some tips that I got from certain things that I've looked at. from different things. And this is, I got it actually from this test, these 3 tests that I got from a great book called The Proven Ground by Kevin Gerald. I'd recommend anybody go out there and get it. Just amazing what he has for us in this, with this. So the 3 reasons why we are tested by God. God tests our character and integrity. If we truly say we love God and we call ourselves Christians, we will see how much we love Him by testing our character and integrity, whether it be through money, time, or the lifestyle we choose to live. So basically what it's doing is it's saying that where's our integrity? Do we put everything in God, or are we putting it in money? Are we putting it in materialistic things? Are we putting it in the certain lifestyles that we choose to live in ourselves? The next thing is the reveal. We reveal what's in our heart. God knows already what's in our hearts and how we truly feel about certain things. But His test will expose in the world, let's be honest, He doesn't want pretenders, He wants contenders for His kingdom. So we can go out and be this quote unquote good godly people, but He knows the truth. So if we're wearing this mask and worshiping a certain way, or reading the Bible and saying that, but we go out and do other things Friday, Saturday, then He truly knows that's not where our heart is. Our heart is not with God, because we choose when to be a Christian or how to be a Christian. We say that, oh well, on Sundays I will be, but Friday, Saturday I'm gonna go out and go to the club and do all this. And I'll be the first to be honest, I'm guilty of that, and I've lived that for some time. But it kind of just gets in your heart where you can't do that anymore. And God will put that in your heart. God will show you eventually that no more, and He will make you stop. And you want to stop and just live a better life. Here's a quick scripture for that. It says, we are sure to know that God, being a partner in the labor of all things, work together and are fitting into a plan for good too, and for those who love God and are called according to His design and purpose. Again, just God are called according to His design and purpose. We are all called to a certain design and purpose for God. God really wants us to live a life for Him, through Him, and about Him. The third reason why I think God tests us is find out if you will do things for God's glory or the praise of man. What this should be telling you is, are you giving glory to God for what He's giving you, or are you just giving an award speech? What I mean by that is that, are we just saying, how when somebody wins something, or we say, oh well, I thank God for the gifts and the talents I have. We hear athletes say it, or people who win awards in music, thank you God for these talents. Now, are they really thankful for that? Are they really truly just in their hearts deeply? And I hope they are, because that is an amazing thing, because they have a platform where they can preach the word and give everybody, the real message of what God is all about. Or are you just, wearing that mask again? I mean, it goes back to, number 2, where God will reveal what's truly in your heart, where He'll really expose you for truly who you are. And as well, it goes on to, I have a few scriptures for this. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, so then whether you eat or drink or whatever you may do, do all for the honor and glory of God. So again, make sure you're doing everything that you do, no matter how small it is or no matter how big it is, that you're always doing it in the name of God. You're not doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for an award. You're not doing it to have prestige or anything like that. Make sure that it is always about Him, for yourself. Now, the 3 mistakes that we make in these tests, I think we have no plan. These are the type of people who are like, whatever happens, happens. Don't be that person. Come with a plan. Because whatever happens, happens means you just don't really care what's going to happen, and you don't really worry about what's going to happen in life, when you should always care. You should have a plan. You should have a list. You should have saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is the plan. These are the reasons that these things happen for me. We always should have a plan. God wants us to have a plan in life, but make sure God is in that plan as well. And I'll get to that too as well, with God in your plan. Think of it this way. I'm going to use, a lot of sports, because I think that's kind of a good way. Think of it as this: when Dwayne Wade, every night before a game, he goes in with a plan, depending on what team they're going to play and what person's going to guard him. He takes his strengths and that person's weaknesses and uses them against them. And of course, that what makes him, one of the top players still to the day. Maybe partially too, because I'm a Heat fan, but it's okay. But you think about it, any athlete or anybody that goes in with a mindset and a plan, they're going to succeed in whatever they're going to do. Somebody who goes in there with no plan and doesn't know what they're going to do, whether it be within their job or in their relationships or in life, or just goes in and just says, what happens. I just think that they're kind of just saying, I could care less if it goes good or bad, when I think that's just false. I think everybody wants good in their life, no matter what decision it makes, or no matter good in your job, good in your family, good in your relationship, good with your kids. You want always the best no matter what. So that whatever happens, I think is kind of just a cop-out, that whatever type of mentality. And we just need to get rid of that. That just needs to completely go away, because you need a plan in life. Next is not including others while planning. We'll put it in this sense again. Another football reference, or sports reference. Peyton Manning. Because Peyton Manning, with him, everyone knows how, everybody has to be on the same page when it comes to when he's running his offense. Especially when he's calling out the plays, when he's pointing, when he's doing his audibles. Everybody knows the whole Omaha thing. But everybody needs to be in that plan, because if you're the only person, you're only keeping that to yourself, then everybody else won't be on that same page with you. So their people won't block. His wide receivers won't be able to catch the ball. And guess what? They're going to lose every game. And Peyton Manning would not be considered one of the greatest as he is today if he did not include others while they're planning. And what I mean by that is that let people know what your plans are. See how they can help you. See how they can help you in your plans. That say, hey, I need to do this. Can you help me with this? Or what is a good way to get it through this way? Whether it be in your job, saying, hey man, how'd you make it this far? What did you plan? And let them know about your plans and what you have, and see where they fit in that, and see how they can help you. Always include people in your planning. You don't have to do it by yourself. We can't do this life by itself. We need others. Mainly God, of course, but of course others that are godly people as well. Put them in your life. They will help you get to your plan. They will help you in your planning. They will help you achieve your goals. Next is not the next mistake that we make, and I think is the key biggest mistake, is not to include God when planning. This is straight and to the point. It just basically slaps you right in the face. It just says, boom, God needs to be in your plan. God needs to be number one. If God on your list is not number one, then you need to reevaluate that list and make it again. This message speaks for itself. Forget 1 and 2. If you don't have 3, you don't have anything. So with the no plan or not including others, those are great. You need those as well. But if you don't have number 3, really 3 should be number 1. But that's just the way it was listed. But in the end, God needs to be first in your plan. Use this saying: if you don't have sense, you don't have dollars. And guess what? God first in any plan makes perfect sense. If you have God first in your plans, through these tests that he puts you through, guess what? God will always see you through these tests. God will always see you through anything, through any obstacle. So always make sure that you put God first in your plans. A quick illustration that I have, or what I found kind of interesting, is basically, let's use that this way. All sorts of things are tested to prove that they are genuine. As I was talking in mine, earlier, as God really wants us to be genuine. God knows what's in our heart. He wants to break that down and really shine that light in our heart and really show the true us. And one thing I got is that, what I found is that with banks, is that of course if you give a bank a $20 bill, $50 or $100 bill, the cashiers, what they do is they hold it up to a special light, or they use a marker. The reason for them doing it is that they're wanting to make sure that it is genuine or real, basically testing their authenticity. The way they know it's genuine or not is that basically the hair in the picture of the man. So whether it be a Benjamin Franklin or a Jefferson or whatever one of those dollar bills, their hair is combed a certain way. And if it's not combed that way, they know that it's a fake. And to me, that's crazy that with that light, that they could see a certain, with the untrained eye, we would think of it, oh, it's a $20 bill. But when they hold it to light, if their hair is not a certain way, then they know that it's fake. And one thing I got as well is that but the teller knows that, because they, like I said, the training they have. We expect everything that has value to be tested. So if it has value, it should be tested. If there's value in that car and you want to pay for that car, you're going to test drive it. A value in a person, you're going to test that person, because you're going to test, their friendship. You're going to add, you're going to see what kind of friend, and certain things friends do. Those are tests where it's like, hey, can you do this for me? Or like if you're seeing you're doing so much for them, but when you ask them a favor, they can't come through. That's a test, even though you may not know it, but you're testing every single day. You're testing people every single day. for their value and see how much, do they value this or do they not value it. The faith that is not tested is the faith that cannot be trusted. And that's what God does. In the end, like I said, God wants everybody to go to heaven. God truly wants all of us to be in the kingdom. But in the end, he's going to still test us. And unfortunately, yes, there is a hell. And unfortunately, yes, people may go there. Because why? Because he would test our faith and we come up and fail. And deep down inside, like any father, he weeps every single day knowing that there is a hell and that people are living in that today. And this is why God puts us through these tests, because just like the teller with money, God sees our hearts and he knows who are real and who's are fake. The great thing about it is special light is that his special light, he wants it to shine on everyone, not just certain ones. So the greatest thing about it is that even though he knows what we're doing is bad, or certain tests we fail, whether it be no matter what, we put certain things above him and we don't have a plan and we don't put God first in these tests, and we blame God for a lot of situations that we go through in the test of time that we have. But in the end, he knows our true heart, and he knows and he wants nothing but the best for us. A good quote that I read from Cameron Gerald said, "Some people are like milk. They get bitter with time. Others are like wine. They get better with time." So my question is, are you wine or milk? What he's saying is that people that are milk lose interest in things fast, and motivation, determination. It goes away. They start off good but never finish. So boom, they go into it and they're like, go get her. But after a while, once it plateaus or once it levels out, they start losing interest. And they start, just going through the motions then after that. And then after so long, it just gets to a point where they're just not putting any effort in. It gets spoiled and it's gone. Until something new comes up, they just repeat the process again. So what he's saying is that when we started in this test of time, yeah, when we get into it, we're like, oh, for it. But there is going to be moments and times when we plateau. But when we're plateauing and when it's all leveled down and we're just like, what is going on? And why isn't it moving faster? And why isn't anything getting better? Are we going to be that wine? Are we going to be, in that consistent mode saying, I know something's going to be better. And we're looking at like how we came into a day 1 and day 50, we're doing the exact same effort. We're putting the same exact motivation. We're doing the same thing, whether it's plateauing or not, because you don't know when that moment's going to come when God says, you are ready. And you're ready to go. And as we've heard through so many times, with time comes great things. Time will come great things. God has great things for us. It's just when he's ready for us to have it. And it was from a sermon and from my church that I heard at Copper Point for Focus. Pastor named Darius, great man. He said, and I'll think it'll always stay with me, don't focus on the problem, focus on the problem solver. So what I got out of that is that we focus so much on that what cannot be done, or why we can't change something, or why this had to happen, or why did this happen to me, and we're focusing so much on the problem and we're not moving forward and we're just stuck. And I think that's when we become milk people, because we stay stuck in that rut, because we see everybody else escalating and climbing up in the ladder, doing whatever, their relationships are good and they have the perfect family, when instead of us just focusing, God, I know that you'll have something better for me, and I need to put more focus on you. And that's sometimes maybe why things do happen, because we lose focus, because we take God out of that situation. And God says, you took me out, I need to bring you back. And he pulls us back in, kind of how he lets go of the reins a little bit, and then he pulls us back in. And that's kind of something what I see God does to us every single day. Now, in conclusion, is basically just what I want to say is that in the end, God is not a teacher. Or God is not a teacher who wants us to fail his students. He gave us all the answers, but he also gave us choices on whether to look for those answers when we are tested. So when God shines his light on our hearts, he knows that it's real and genuine. So again, when kind of like the teller and showing the $20 bill or seeing what is real, God is going to put us through those tests every single day, and God's going to show us, and he's going to put us through everything and say, where are you at in your walk? Where are you at with me? Are you following me? Are you still with me? And the greatest thing about it, as I've been saying throughout this time, is that he does not want us to fail. And he never wants us to fail. No matter how torn up and reckless you are, or how just broken you feel that you are, and you're like, oh, God was going to strike me down as soon as I walk into the church. And we all say that. And that's not true. God knows what's really in your heart. God knows that you want to go after him. it just takes time. And with that time, me as a Christian, and I'm the greatest preachers, I want people to understand that everybody, I just said it, Joseph and Abraham, these were the greatest men of God. David, Moses, Noah, all these people went through certain tests, and God tested them all. God's going to test all of us. It's just how much faith we have in him when he puts us through the test and know that he has something better for us in this life. And right before I go, I just want to just let you guys know, and just send you off with just one good quick prayer, and write it down. It's just something that I always took down. It says, God may not understand how everything will work. God, I may not understand how everything will work out, but I trust you. I don't see a way, but I know you'll make a way. I have faith that this very moment you are touching hearts, opening doors, and lining up the right breaks and right opportunities. Things may look dark and bleak now, but I have faith that my dawn is coming. Amen. So just think of that. We're not supposed to understand why God has the things that we're doing. That's not our job. That's his job. All we need to understand is that he is God. He knows the right way. And we just need to come in with him with all of our heart, and he will see us all through. I just want to thank you guys for listening to me. Appreciate it. Shout out to my at 212 group representing their hat. It's our youth group. It's going amazing out there at Copper Point Church in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're just doing a great thing with this movement with the youth out there, and just building a church, a strong family church, and love to see everybody out. And of course, got to promote as well our Jesus System. Everybody who's part of it, we have over 130 youth ministries in it. Jesus System, awesome, wonderful. Look it up. Hashtag Jesus System at 212 ABQ. Love you guys. God's with you. Bless you all the time.